afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Cooper, known as the Channel Guy Trader, and I am reporting to you live from Wall Street Trading Satellite Office down in sunny South Florida. Today's date is Saturday, December the 8th, 2012, and here is this week's Weekend Review brought to you by WallStreetTrading.com. Want to first start off by saying I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend so far. Next week in New York, we will be having an event at our New York office located on Broadway. Yep, 11th at Broadway, Suite 1515. If you guys want to come check it out, I will be there present. I'm flying up to New York on Sunday, and I will be there definitely for that meetup that we're having at our open house. If you guys want to come meet me personally, Channel Guy Trader, Chris, I will be in the building. So please come check it out. I would like to definitely come reach out to some of you guys that I've been speaking with through Facebook, and some of you guys that have been, that we talk on Facebook back and forth. Be pretty interesting. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into the weekend analysis here. Want to first start by taking a look at the weekly chart, the SPY. You can see here that we sold off a little bit this week and recovered and closed near the highs. If you take a look here at the bottom chart here, I have my little closing price dot system. Basically, if it's a positive week that closes higher than the previous week, you have a nice little green closing dot. So therefore, you can see we have 3 consecutive higher weeks that we closed here to the top side prior to the previous week. So we have one closing bar here, another closing bar where we close higher than the previous week's close, and another closing bar where we close higher than the previous week's close. So therefore, the market is definitely in an uptrend for the short term right here. Can we make it back all the way to the 147.25 high on the SPY? I'm not sure. We'll have to take it on a day-to-day basis. But right now, the market is trying to recover from this little sell-off that took place back here in September. The next level of resistance on the SPY, right here you can see it's around the 144 level, which comes from this consolidation that we had right back here before we broke below it and started holding below it. Okay, so 144 would be the level to watch at the top side to the downside here. You can see as long as we hold above 140, even if we consolidate a little bit up right here, that will be a good consolidation off this nice little low that we put in. If we take a look at the daily chart, you can see we are coming into some key levels from that nice little downward channel. Let me remove some of these price levels here along with these rectangles. And you can see here that we're back inside of that key downward channel. We are going to have some resistance in front of that 144 level, or you can say right at that 144 level from the top of the channel, from these key inflection trend lines right here. All right, from that key trend line. Again, once we broke back into that little channel right there, you can see a lot of people that got short down here were basically trapped as the channel line was acting relevant back here. We're back inside the channel, and we held that 141 level, and now we're trying to go back up towards this 143. We break over 143, we're looking for that 144. If we fade right back down, you want to see if we can hold that 141 level, and then we have that 141 level and the low that we made on Wednesday from that little reversal that we had intraday, all the way from a low of 140.37 on the SPY. If we take a look at the triple Qs, the NASDAQ, Apple has been causing some pressure on the NASDAQ, as Apple has just been all over the place. I mean, let me just take a quick snapshot at it here. You can see Apple had a wild week here, sold off, opened up at for the week at 593.65, closed the week out at 533.25. So a bad week for Apple. That's definitely causing some pressure on the triple Qs. We take a look at the weekly chart of the triple Qs. We got that bounce that we were expecting off that little downward trend line from this key inflection points right here. You can see we broke out, came back consecutive weeks to the downside, acted as a nice little level of support for the short-term bounce. And right now, as we're looking to see if this is going to be a short-term bounce, we're going to consolidate it a little bit up here above these moving averages on the weekly time frame and trade back up towards 68, or we're going to roll right back over down towards 62. All right, you can see here we had a nice little higher open for the week, but then we closed right there on our lows, or near our lows. Take a look at the daily chart. Again, let me take out these rectangles and these key levels real quick so I can show you guys the clean chart. You can see we're still remain below that key little uptrend channel or trend line that we had right there, and the 66.50 level or 66.40 or so is acting as resistance. And right now we have that little high that's put in right there. We have another lower high that we put in right there. So we're definitely in a little short-term downtrend on the triple Qs. Level you want to watch to the top side is this around this 65.75 area. To the downside, if we start trading and holding below 64.50, expect 64 to come, where we do have a nice little gap from 64 from this little action from 2 weeks ago right there. and then we have 63, and then we have this gap all the way from right here, this little gap fill down here. So some good levels to watch back to the downside on the triple Qs. Let's take a look at the IWM, the small caps, Russell 2000 here. You can see we're holding that key 82 level. Intraday, we're just chopping around that level. For example, look at this 15-minute chart. All right, for the past, let me bring this out, 15-minute chart, past 10 days, you can see how we're just chopping around that key area, which I have highlighted on the daily chart with that green rectangle band. And that basically comes from all this little action that we had from back here. You guys recall we had this nice little kind of air pocket right here. And right now, that 82 level is really important on the IWM, as throughout the previous months there has been a lot of action around that key 82 level. So 82 is a level to watch. If we can hold above 82, that would definitely give us a move back up towards 83. But right now, there's a lot of indecision on the IWM. As you can see, we're just trading sideways. Could be consolidation out of this downward channel, since we broke back above this back inside this little downward channel. We're back above it. At the same time, this action this week is a lot of indecision. You got a higher open on Monday. We sold off on Tuesday. They bought it back up. Sold off on Wednesday. They bought it back up. Sold off on Thursday. They bought it back up. So there are dip buyers in the IWM below this 82 level. If this continues to happen, we're going to expect that people are basically putting these higher bids in, and we're going to start floating right back up towards this 83 level. So IWM in an interesting area right here. Take a look at the weekly chart, and you can see how, again, that 82 area on the daily chart is relevant. We hold that 82 level. We got to get back above that key 83 level, which is acting relevant. Every time we break above 83, we trade back below it. Break above 83, we trade back below it. 83, another inflection point to watch on the IWM. Now let's take a look at the GLD. All right, I want to take a look at the GLD to see what gold did this week here. And you can see gold on the weekly chart pretty much sideways. GLD is basically trading in a range now here between 162 half, and you can say 170, so about a 7.5 point range. And we got a little bounce off the lower end of the range this week. Okay, if we take a look at the daily chart, you can see a pretty much sloppy action in the GLD ever since we had this nice little consolidation that was going to be a breakout, but then it was a nice little trap that took place in the bulls. That took place for the bulls, and now some bulls are trapped there. However, still kind of nice little pullback action here, a little downward channel. If the GLD could get back above 165 and hold, this could just be a little shakeout on both ends of the stick here as they're trying to maybe shake out some, weak hands out in gold. You can see how we got to shake out to the top, so on a breakout, and we could have another possible shake back out to the downside, shaking out the bulls up here, shaking out the bears down here, and just basically coming back inside this little range. So interesting action in the GLD and the miners. Don't really see much action there, though. That's clean. I mean, you take a look at the gold miners. The gold miners did break down out of that little channel consolidation that we were mentioning right here. We got that little breakdown. They rallied it back up. We couldn't break inside the channel. We've been trying to break inside the channel for the past 2 weeks, and now we're back below that key channel level that we've been mentioning here. Now, one thing to watch is we start forming a lower channel. This little area will act down here as support, and see if we could break that can act as support down there. We could break back inside that channel right there. Aside from that, I'm really not. I really don't see anything interesting in the gold miners, and right now there's better cash flow opportunities in different sectors. All right, so let's take a look at SLV. I know some of you guys are trading the silver out there. SLV needs to get back above 32. The real level to watch in SLV is 34. So right now we're kind of in nowhere land. We still, have some higher lows here on the chart, and 3150 is a little short-term level to watch right now. If we get back above, say, 3250 from this little gap down we had right there, that can maybe give us some momentum to trade back up towards this 3350 area. Let's take a look at crude oil via the USO. Okay, USO was down 13 cents on Friday, pretty much flat. You can see how we're just chopping around in here. Not really much going on here. Crude oil is trying to decide what it wants to do. We have that little support down there around 31.25 on the USO. Top side of resistance is coming in around this 32.75 area. You can see how they got a lot of people excited right here once we got back above this key 62, 63 level, trapped those bulls up there, and now we're back to the downside, coming back into this little support zone around 31.25 level. So you see how that action is taking place right there. We take a look at the weekly chart. Ugly engulfing candlestick right here, pretty much engulfing the bodies of the prior 3 weeks or so. not the wicks, but the bodies. So right here, engulf that one, engulf that one, engulf that one. And you can see, right now, if the USO breaks below this 31 level right here and holds below 31, we could be looking for lower prices down towards 30 on the USO. Let's just take a look at the actual crude oil contract, though, the crude oil futures. Okay, you can see those are looking pretty sloppy as well, chopping around between this little range between, say, the 84 level on the crude oil and this 89 level right here with some trap action going on. So that downside momentum continues in this energy sector, or I should say in crude oil, because even though crude oil starts trading sloppy or trading to the downside this week, some energy stocks are actually kind of hanging in there with some good action going on in the energy sector, which we'll talk about here shortly. So anyway, U.S. crude oil looks to go back, maybe back down towards 84. We break below 84, we could be seeing lower prices down towards 81. All right, and that's going to fuel some, I think, a little pop in the transports, which are trying to perk up again here. Which we'll take a look at the transportation index. All right, DJT. Take off some of my analysis here. All right, and this is actually kind of trying to bull flag a little bit up here. You got this nice little move off the lows, off this little hammer right there. Nice little up move and a little sideways consolidation. We're seeing some decent action. For example, like in the airliners, take a look at the XAL, the airline index. You can see this one's up here trending pretty nice. And some of those stocks are trying to bounce up a little bit. LCC, needs to get past 13, but had a nice little pop, sold it off a little bit there. ALK is the strongest one in the group, but it's been running for the past couple months here, so momentum's kind of dying out in that one unless they get an extra pop there. Still looking healthy up here, though, above all the moving averages. You have UAL, which got a pop on Thursday, little pop pause day on Friday. If this thing could break over this 200-day moving average right here, over 2061, this thing could go back up towards 2150 and possibly get some momentum inside that stock there. And then you have the railroad stocks in the transport sector. Looking pretty good. Take a look at KSU, a breakout if it takes out this key 80 level before it move back up towards 84 up here. Nice risk to reward if you this thing has some momentum behind it. Take a look at the weekly chart. Weekly chart looks pretty good. You have a nice little up move from the middle part of the year. Then you have a nice little downward consolidation, kind of a little bullish channel right here. So keep an eye on these transport stocks. KSU could be giving you a little A, little B pullback, and a little C wave to come in. So keep an eye on these railroad stocks here in the whole transport sector. So that's how that's looking right there. We take a look at, obviously, I want to take a look at the quick dollar like I always do. Dollar index on the daily chart had a crazy pop on Friday. They sold that right back down. A 15-minute chart, that's a little crazy wick right there. So we're going to see here, put a little mark right here at the 8061 level. So back to the daily chart. Resistance is around this 80-60 area right here. Okay, and you can see how we sold right back down to that little yellow band that I've been mentioning here. That was from the consolidation that we had right back here from September to, say, late October, early November. We broke out. That level should have acted as support. U.S. dollar sold right back below that level, causing a bounce in some commodity stocks and some stocks that benefit from a declining dollar. And then now the dollar bounced up and sold off pretty nasty back to the downside. Even though this was like an extreme tick right here. We're going to see if this is actually relevant going into next week. So if the U.S. dollar continues to hold above 80.25, this could be making a move back up. If we trade it right back below 80.25 on the dollar index, we can make a move back down towards 79.60. And then once this level starts holding as resistance, then we can expect the U.S. dollar to start going to the wayside, and we'll continue to look at these commodity stocks. Either way, some commodity stocks are holding up pretty well. Some of them are selling off with the recent snapback in the dollar, but some of them are holding up as well. If you take a look at another sector that I know a lot of people have been trading out there, obviously we've been actually catching some of this move in the banking sector. We take a look at BAC. BAC had a nice little breakout over $10 on Wednesday. That was a nice move we called out in the chat room. Pretty sure a lot of people called that out. I mean, that was a key level from the daily chart. The banking sector is having some good money rotation going back into that sector. BAC, Bank of America, as long as it holds above this 10 level and above this, say, this 10.28 level, you can expect this to have more momentum and possibly hit 11 next week. You have Citigroup, another banking stock that's trading pretty strong. Citigroup, we are not seeing Goldman Sachs participate. So that's a little red flag right there. Goldman Sachs breaking below 116 can trade all the way back down towards 114. One thing to watch out for is maybe a little fake breakdown, a reversal to move up. One other thing to watch for is the other stocks, maybe sometime getting some selling pressure next week for some profit taking. and Goldman Sachs selling off in that profit taking to the other banks. We'll have to see how that plays out, but definitely Goldman Sachs is a little red flag. It's not rallying with the rest of the financials. Okay, so that's how the financials are looking. And then we take a look at the BKX. The BKX held my little key trend line down there. You can see how we're bouncing right off that action. We got some nice little trap signals from these key levels that I have from my channel system, and now we're moving back up. And the BKX looks to go back up towards say 50, 51, if 50 half, 51 there if we get some nice momentum behind it. But even right here, this is like a nice little consolidation that we're just now breaking out of. You can see how we were trading this little nice little up move. All right, a nice little bull flag. Let me take off these moving averages so you guys can see this a little bit cleaner. See show studies and do a little thing here. 1 second. All right, you can see how we have that nice little action right there. Nice up move, sideways consolidation, type of little bull flag action right here. Look for this to have possibly another little leg up for a little 1, 2, 3 pattern. So banks, the banks are looking decent. Let's take a look at the semiconductor sector. The SOX semis. Put the moving averages back on here so we can see how this is trading around them. And the semis recovering from the short-term moving averages, still below the 200-day moving averages on the daily chart of the SOX. You can see the trend is pretty much to the top side. Take a look here at the bottom of the screen. Closing prices are moving in a nice little uptrend. So the stock is definitely an uptrend from this low that it made back down here at 1116. And obviously still has some more room to run. But we want to see if we get past this moving average right here, or generally past this 385 level. If we break past 385, we can make a nice move back up towards this 390 resistance zone. That comes from resistance ever since we had this little push up above that key level from the break of the range here. All right, we had this, you can see here we had this nice little break of the range for this nice little W pattern that took place. Nice little W pattern broke out. But then right here we had a nice little consolidation that we were not able to hold above that 390 base. And ever since we sold off, got that back test, we've been in a little, little down. We've been receiving some nice little selling pressure in the semis. However, they are trying to recover from this little short-term low that we put in right here. If we continue to recover, look for a move back up towards 390, meaning that some of these semiconductor stocks could have some more momentum to the top side. Cree has been a nice, strong one in the sector. He had a nice little pop-up 2 weeks ago. Or you say last week, all last week this was a nice stock. Had a little pause week this week. Take a look at the weekly chart. The weekly chart still looks pretty much constructive as long as we can hang above 32. Aside from that, guys, we're going to go ahead and end the video here. A little short video recap with some sectors. Again, I will be in New York next week. If you want to come to our meetup group, I will have the details up on the blog on wallstreettrading.com. I'll have the details on my blog at channelguidetrader.com. And for one last look, you could take a look here. And you can see where we're located at. The offices, 11 Broadway, Suite 1515, New York, New York. Come out, check out the open house, meet me, meet my partners, meet a couple of the traders that we have with us, and put some names and some faces. All right, it's pretty. I heard it's going to be pretty cold up there, and I'm down here in sunny South Florida, and it feels good. So we'll see how that turns out. Anyway, hope you guys are having a great weekend, and I'll catch you guys later. Have a great one. Cheers.